Hi, afternoon everyone. I'm here doing another Construct 3 Space Invaders stream. Hi Ian, you alright? No, I'm not off today. I'm just started doing sort of 45-minute-ish to an hour lunchtime streams. Just recreating Space Invaders using Construct 3. And then next week I'm planning on doing the same thing but using Godot. So it's the third one of these streams. So far we've got to this point. Move left and right, you can kill the aliens. They're not speeding up at the moment, still need to do that. These bases get destroyed as bullets hit them. It's keeping track of the actual score. So that's where I'm up to at the minute. How are you anyway, Ian? You alright? You enjoying life as a dad? Right, so first thing today, we'll get high score sort of updating on the start of the layout, so it sets the value. Remember where I'm up to with stuff. Text high score, set text. And we'll set that to the high score variable. And then we also want to do that lower down here, at the end of the level. After we've updated the value, if it's changed, we'll change it there as well. Aye, it's brilliant, cheers. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Lots of sleepless nights. Alright, next thing that we need to get working is when the player actually gets hit. Just left a player hit function in there to add into. So when the player gets hit by the enemy's bullet, we want to start adding the logic in for what happens there. So first of all, what we'll need to add in is a global variable to keep track of the player's lives. And then on the start of the layout, we'll set that to be 3 lives. So we've got the lives variable. What we need to do is set up a UI element for the lives. So what I'll do is take a copy of this, and then we'll add a new sprite into the game on the UI layer. And that can be called sprite UI player lives. We'll have that down at the bottom there. So what I want this to show is a spaceship, player ship for each live they've got left. So that'll need to be 72 pixels wide to fit 3 of them on, and height of 24. Set the image point to the top left. Don't need an image box. So that's for 1. We need 1 for 0 when they've got no lives remaining. Now we'll duplicate that again. And into that I'll just paste another. Actually that's going to look pretty rubbish without a gap between them. So let's just change the size of this. Get rid of that for now. Change the size. We'll just have 4 pixels between each, so we'll just go up to a width of 80. So I'll move that over there. And then for 2. Right, has that not changed it? Every single one? Right, no, it must just update the frame you're on. So we'll get rid of that. Get rid of that one. And then just duplicate that. So 0 lives. 1 life. 2 lives. And then 3 lives. Right, we don't want this animation playing because I've got to use each frame to represent a life. So currently it's there, but it's not showing anything because it's got 0 lives. So on the start of the layout, no, so far she's only gets up once in the night for food, then straight back to sleep. Oh, that's good. We were always pretty lucky with ours. They'd never really had any problem sleeping through. Right, so on the start of the... Right, why did I set the high score to 3? That should have been player lives. And then we'll set the frame to the value of player lives. Right, so when the players hit, first of all, we need to remove the life that the player's just lost. So subtract from player lives, we'll take 1 off that. Then what we need to do is check this new value. Compare a variable, player lives. As long as it's greater than or equal to 0, we'll perform the logic for respawning the player. We'll add an else, which if it's not, then it's going to be game over. So at that point we'll perform the game over function, which I've still got to finish off down below. How long is it till you start your new job, Ian? So when player lives are greater than 0, we need to stop the aliens moving first of all. So what I'll do, we'll just add another global variable to say control whether the aliens can move or not. Just call it aliens can move. Have that as a boolean, initially true. Yeah, we'll just, so there's no problems, we'll just set that to true at the beginning. And we'll just add a check in here. We'll only move it if that bool is actually set. So aliens can move, if that's true, we'll then do that movement. So we've been hit, we'll set that bool true, false, sorry. Aliens can move is false, so that'll stop the aliens moving. We've subtracted a life. If it's greater than 0, we'll be respawning. So first of all, we'll destroy the player. And also we'll destroy all the bullets. So that nothing's getting killed or anything while stuff's not moving. Could be more than one enemy bullet. I'll do the same thing for the player bullet, even though there should only ever be one. Replace that object. So we're getting hit, subtracting 1 from the player lives, stopping the enemies moving, we're destroying the player, we're destroying all the lasers that are on the screen, and then we're checking if it's greater than 0. What we'll do, we will wait, maybe, yeah, we'll leave it at 1 second for now and see how that works. Wait 1 second, and then what we want to do is create another player. So it's create player object, and we'll make that on the layer game. I'll just work out where we want it to. Might as well restart it in the same position. So that's 48336. So we'll spawn that there. Spawn the player. Then what we'll do, we'll set the enemies moving again. To true. The only other thing, I'll just check how I've got it working for them firing, because I may have to change that as well. Enemy bullet behaviour. Yeah, we don't want those spawning either when the player's not on the screen and the enemies aren't moving. We want to stop them spawning, so we'll just copy that in there. So if the aliens can move, they'll do the firing. If not, they won't. And what we'll do, just to make sure, because I never added this in before, just to make sure the player can fire when it respawns. Sure there's the uncreated. Yep, uncreated. We'll set the boolean that it can fire to true. I'll just organise that and pop that up here in sort of the player section. Right, let's see how that's working. Now hopefully when we get hit by the enemy we should lose a life. Need to speed up these bullets, there's not enough of them coming through at the minute from the enemies. As you can see, it's got to take me ages to try and get killed. So I've died, respawned. Right, it's not updated the UI because I've not changed that logic. So what we'll do is a system every tick. Sorry, it was AFK starting on Monday. You're looking forward to it. Can't say you're missing a great deal where you were before. Sprite UI, set frame to player lives, so that should now keep that all set. Well, I don't really need to do it every tick. That's, like I said yesterday with something else, it's not going to cause a problem in this game, but it's not best sort of setting that every tick thinking about it. So I will just add it in at the point where I update the player lives. Just update the speed that these enemies fire at, because between 1 and 3 seconds. So we've died, lost a life, died, lost another life. Lost all lives, got no lives left now, so next time it probably shouldn't respawn if the logic I've done is correct. There we go, it's a new high score, it updated the high score, but as I've not done any more game over logic, nothing else happened at that point. So next thing, we'll add another layer at the top. We'll just call this layer game over. And then on that layer, look where the opacity is. So we'll set that up to 80. I've heard things were rather hectic, really looking forward to fresh start, hopefully get some motivation back. Yeah, and then get back to some game dev as well. Are you taking part in Game Jam 192? Or are you scared? Right, so we'll duplicate one of these text. Clone that, and we'll just call that game over. Drag that into that layer. I'm just going to drag it there. Thinking what I might do is, instead of using the layer opacity, just add a sprite in and just have that bit faded out and leave this so that the player can see what they scored on the high score while they're on the game over. I'll have a look at doing that in a few minutes. So game over. And we'll make that bigger text and maybe make it a red colour. Yep, so we'll make that layer transparent again. I'll add in a sprite. Game over mask. The alpha value of 220. Helps if I actually fill it that colour. Undecided at the moment. What week is it? It's the 2nd to the 10th, so I think that's Good Friday, over Bank Holiday weekend, and then into the next week. I'm just as usual deciding what game engine I'm going to use. I might end up using Construct just because I've not used that for any of the indie game squad jams yet. Try and get this so that it looks I actually got that on the correct layer. Layer game over. That's better for that. And now we'll send that to the back of that layer so that the writing's over the top of it. So on the start of the layout, we'll make that layer hidden. Visibility, set layer visible. And that can be layer game over, and we'll set that to invisible. Lumberyard. No, it's alright. Don't know whether Andrew ever looked at that again, because I know you were looking at that at one point, weren't you? But right, so we're setting it invisible there. What we need to do is set it visible when the game over. Copy that in there. So when it's game over, we'll set the layer to game over, set high score to that, then we'll wait a few seconds. Maybe 3 seconds. And then at that point we'll transition to the menu. So I better make a menu. So we'll add a layout with an event sheet. We'll make the layout just so it fills the screen. Just clone that and we'll just add some text, basic text on the menu. Name these layers just so that keeps everything looking neat, and we'll drag that in there. Snap to grid we'll set on and just set the grid to increase the font size. I'll just set the background of it to black, and then we'll add a button in. Hi Joseph, how are you doing? Thanks for popping by. So I'll just make a sprite for the button. Add that in, make it 96 by 32. Just make it a green button for now. Finish point to the centre actually. Make sure it's got the bounding box on because we'll be needing to click on that. So I'll just change the name of this to layout menu. And the event sheet, so I know which event sheet's which. we need to do is add the touch system object to the game. Always use touch instead of mouse, just because it simulates mouse touching or finger touching, so you can use it on a mobile device with a touch screen or a PC with a mouse. So untouched object, the play button. What we want to do is go to the other layout. So go to layout, layout game. And then now that we have a menu on the game over section, after we've waited, we want to go to layout. I'm doing good, how are you? Yeah, I'm doing well. Just getting on with this Space Invaders clone that I'm doing in Construct. Probably won't get it finished today, but hopefully tomorrow I should get it finished, get some sound effects added in, and still got a few bits that just to finish it off, but it's probably about 80% complete now. So game over, we want to go back to the menu. Just save that so that I keep track of where I'm got to. Right, so let's just check the full flow of this now. So I've got the menu, click on the button, maybe add some start countdown, but it's how much I'm actually going to do on this stream as to whether I do that or not. So everything's shooting. Yeah, I still need to get these enemies firing because it's actually difficult getting killed. Tell you what, I've got to change that now. Where was it? I may end up just doing it a set every 1 or 1.5 seconds. Lost a life. Lost a second life. Lost a third life. Next time it should be game over. Set the high score to 20. Waited, and then it's taken us back to the main menu. Start again and resets the score. We get the full lives again. Right, so that's the full game loop working. What we need to work on next is the UFO that joins. Just level 1 Space Invaders always ramps up. Yeah, I'm going to add in that as you shoot them they speed up. But I'll probably do that tomorrow. I'll just get the random flying saucers sort of spawning now. So I'll hide that game over there for now. Right, so we'll add another sprite. I'll just find my flying saucer sprite. It's 24 by 24, paste that in. So what we'll do, we will give that a behaviour. Because unlike the aliens, which I'm sort of moving in a jerky fashion every so many seconds, I'm just going to have the flying saucer smoothly go across the top. So I'll just give it the 8 direction behaviour. We won't set the angle, we'll just give it left and right. We'll get rid of default controls. Set the max speed to 100. And how we'll do it, we'll have a bool to say whether there's one on screen or not. The UFO visible. I'm planning on streaming again tonight as well, some Ghost Blaster stuff, carrying on the pixel art that I started off on Tuesday night on stream. So I'll try and get the stained glass window that I was working on for that and some other scenery items done. So initially we'll have that as there isn't a UFO. What we'll do, every tick, if there's a UFO visible, we will get it moving right. So it's Boolean set, UFO visible. Actually, we won't need an every tick because that'll already be every tick. We'll simulate control as if it's right, it's being pressed. So just to check that works, I'll just for now set that bool to true on the start of the layout. Then with us having one here already, that should immediately start moving across the screen. Yeah, a little bit too fast, but that's working. So I'll set that to false to begin with, and I'll just destroy that one that's already in the scene. With Construct, you've got to have somewhere in the game at least one instance of all the sprites and game and objects in there for it to work. Normally, if it was a larger project, I'd have a separate layout where I'd stick them all, but with it just being a small project, I'm just leaving them just on the edges of the screen, and they'll get I destroy things when the level starts. So we're setting the visible to false and destroying that. So I'm going to change the logic so that we can reuse it later. What I'll do is set the on destroy whenever it gets destroyed, so that'll be whenever it's shot by the player or gets destroyed going off the screen. We'll set that bool at that point. So now when it's visible, it'll always move right. As soon as it's destroyed, that bool will stop and that logic won't be called until another one's spawned. So I'll just add a group for this to keep all the UFO stuff together. Right, so we need to set up the actual spawning of the UFO. So what we'll do, we'll check if one's visible, and if it's not, we'll invert that. We will then create one. Oh, no, it needs to be as an action, not an event. Create an object, We'll create it on the game layer. I'll just get the position that we need to create that at. We'll create that there at -32 and 0. We'll just make it a little bit lower actually, I think. I don't know, it's fine. I will leave it as 0. Right, we need to be doing that a random amount of seconds. Every X seconds. And what we'll do, we'll make that a random whole number. And we'll make that between, don't want them all the time, maybe between 10 and 18, see how that works out. And that's when it should be created. So if there isn't one visible, we'll create one. So that means we'll never have more than one on screen. Just see if one eventually spawns. I need to get some sound effects together then, and I'll add those in on tomorrow's stream for the player shooting, the enemies moving and explosions and the flying saucer. Right, I've just realised why it's not actually working. I need to actually be at some point flipping that bool back to being true, or we're never going to get anything spawning. So I'm just getting my head around how I'm going to do this. So every 10 to 18 seconds, what we'll do, we'll set that to true. So that's false, so there isn't one visible. I'm not getting my head around this at all. I'm having a bit of a stupid moment. So for UFOs visible, it's moving right. For UFOs not visible, every so many seconds we're going to create one. I wonder if it actually was working and I just didn't wait long enough. Right, I think we're creating it, but it's never actually starting to move because I'm not setting that to true. Right, let's try again. Yeah, something really simple there. I just couldn't get my brain around for a second, but there, we've got that. What we need to now do is work out when we want to destroy it. So we want it to be destroyed when it disappears off screen, So when its X position gets to 480. So we'll compare two values, and it will be 480 for the X. If it's greater or equal, and it will be, I think I need to call it a proper name, it's just currently called sprite. If that's greater than it, sprite.x greater or equal to 480, we will destroy the sprite. So I'll just rename that while I'm here. Sprite UFO. That updates it everywhere in the event sheet. So I don't actually need that. Should now pretty quickly, after the first one gets destroyed, then spawn another. So it spawned one pretty quickly with me having the time set low, and then it does another one. Right, we shall just increase those, and then that'll be all I've got time for today. Just a bracket off the end. So yeah, there we go. We've added some more functionality. We've got a full game loop working now. The player can get killed, they can shoot the enemies, still need to add the shooting for the UFO. Bases destroy. We've got the UI updating high scores. So it's just really the behaviour to hit the UFO, then some sound effects and some explosions need adding in, and then we should be pretty much done. There's a few other things that I may add in if people want to see it, but I'll take a look at that after. But thanks for joining us, Ian and Joseph. Good to have you here. So I'll be streaming again tonight, round about 8:30, 9 o'clock-ish, and I'll be streaming some Ghost Blaster pixel art. I'll catch